Thank you very much. As you can see, this meeting will be recorded and we will publish it. So if you prefer not to be seen, we invite you to switch off your camera, but otherwise, feel free to stay with your camera on just to let you know this. So I think we can start because we have a lot to say today and we also want to hear a lot from you. So first of all, welcome and thank you for joining our Q&A meeting to understand a bit more this new call for proposal of ALDA for ALDA members. I will just do a quick introduction. My name is Valeria Fantini. I'm the coordinator of the Hub Environment and Climate. And in ALDA, I'm part of the granting team, which is again the team that manages every year the call for proposal for ALDA members. To show you who are the faces behind the email exchanges you have with us on this. It's me, of course. Then there are my colleagues, Alice Lazzarin, who is a project manager, and Alice Gastaldi, who is assistant project manager, also in the Environment Hub. And together we manage especially the narrative part and the managing part of the call for proposal, while our colleagues Giulia Albertoni and Nadia Vigolo are the financial managers of ALDA, and they manage the budget side. So if you have any question related to finance and budget, they will be the ones to answer to you. And then we have Erika Migliorati, who is our membership officer. And if you're already a member of ALDA, you will know her for sure. And she's the one coordinating all the membership of ALDA. So without further ado, I will just pass today. Just to give you an idea, we will talk again about the call for proposal, what it entails, what are, you will be asked to answer in the call for application and so forth. And of course, we will have a very important Q&A session at the end. If you have any questions while we are speaking, please write them in the chat and we will make sure to answer to them at the end. So I will pass the mic to my colleague Alice Lazzarin, who will start this presentation. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. First of all, welcome. So for this part, I will go really strictly to the first part of introduction. The table of content of today. So first of all, will see about some information about the call, about the thematic focus, the eligibility activities, the non-eligible activities, the target groups, the grant, the evaluation, and the financial management. So these will be the topics. So the call, as you can see, and also as you saw in the call, is about the CERP program. So the call falls under the umbrella of this program and it seeks to support and develop open rights-based, democratic and equal inclusive society. On the rule of law. So ALDA aims at strengthening a worldwide global alliance of local and regional authorities. So as you might know, ALDA, maybe some of you are also new. ALDA is really a bridge between the local and the European level. And for this call, 16 initiatives will be funded. So to go in the next slide. So this is an overview of the timeline. The call is already open from February 18, and it will be open until April 18. The results will be published in the first week of May, and the implementation of the activities will be like right after the evaluation, so right after the results will be out, and they will be starting on the 9th and they will be finishing on the 20th of October of this year. Then the thematic focus for this year, the thematic focus will be important. So the initiative will be aimed at fostering European citizenship and also by improving conditions for civic and democratic participation in Europe. And specifically, this call will be directly with the specific involvement of ALDA thematic apps. So we will see, right, also, yes, civic participation in the EU. It's like the key element. So the proposals should be enhanced by strengthening citizen engagement and participation in democratic life. And of course, it is also important the values of non-discrimination and equality, so the promotion of inclusivity. And also, as maybe some of you will know, that ALDA has a gender anti-discrimination policy, so this will be really important for the evaluation of your proposal. So to go really inside the thematic apps, as you can see, we have 6 thematic apps, so environment and climate, digital and innovation, gender inclusion and human rights, migration, youth empowerment and education, and territorial and local development. So in the next slide, we will see the key priority for each of them. And this is really important because this year the call is really connected to those priorities. So as we can see, in the environment and climate, the priorities are like the promotion of inclusive just transition and empowering marginalized communities and supporting them in the green transition. Then promote initiative that bring to the territory the Green Deal. And also we have a topic especially related to sustainable food, clean energy, circular economy, and efficient renovation. And as last point, we have also the education thematics. So this priority will enhance the promotion of environmental education and empowering communities by creating learning opportunities. So this is also important for this hub. So we will see in the next hub. We have digital and innovation. So digital innovation has 3 key priorities. So supporting digital transformation in local governance, enhancing digital skills for youth and future workforce, promoting inclusive and digital participation. For gender inclusion and human rights, as we already saw in the previous slide, we have a gender anti-discrimination policy, but the priorities for this app are advancing gender-responsive civic participation and governance, support initiatives that enhance women's, young girls, and marginalized groups' representation in politics and leadership roles, but also these apps want to promote and foster human rights and social justice initiatives. And as last point, it's countering also hate speech and gender-based violence, so campaigns, training, advocacy efforts, and everything related to this topic. Then we have migration. Three priority also for this app. So we have support active participation and local inclusion of people with migrant background in decision-making processes. Starting as ALDA is also promoting, starting at the local level. Then the promotion of creative community building initiatives at the local level that foster inclusion, and then also capacity building, knowledge sharing, and promoting always the positive narratives for key actors working in migration. Then we have youth empowerment and education. So in this hub, it's particularly related to youth. So we are promoting young people's active participation in the society in general and in the decision-making processes at all levels. And then we have support social inclusion in youth with fewer opportunities, and then helping young people benefit from the digital and green transition. So this hub is particularly related to the young people. Then last hub is territorial and local development. So this hub is particularly related to the local development and to the promotion of the concrete initiatives about the SDG. So localization, in particularly SDG 11. And then it wants like to increase knowledge or experiment in citizen participation and urban regeneration and common uses of public spaces. We have the contribution that this hub wants to contribute to territorial promotion and cultural heritage, which is also another important point in also for ALDA in general. So now I will give the floor to Valeria that will explain you better about the eligibility of the call for proposal, the most technical parts. So please, Vale.
Thank you very much, Alice. Thank you. So now you have an overview of, let's say, the key themes that we expect you to tackle in your proposals. Now we want to also share with you some more technical aspects again, because the goal of today is to guide you in the writing of your proposal. So first of all, and also all this information, you can find them in the call for proposal, also like further explained, but this is again to give you an overview and to guide you in that. So of course you have to be a legal entity and a non-profit organization. You have to be established in a member state of the EU. Of course, respect EU values and also commit to ALDA's gender equality and anti-discrimination policy, which anyway is requested if you are an ALDA member. So you should already have signed the statements for member, but if not, so we will ask you to please move forward with that as well. Also, it's important that you are directly responsible for the management and preparation of the action, meaning that you don't have to be an intermediary and an intermediary and refund another organization with the funding you receive. And of course, be a member of ALDA, because this call for proposal is directed towards ALDA members. Then in the next slide, we can have a overview of the eligible activities. This is also already foreseen in the call for proposal, but just to give you an idea of the activities you can implement in this call for proposal. Of course, awareness raising activities, so focus groups, street actions, shows, workshops, and so forth. Creative and cultural actions, so for example, exhibitions, film festival, theater performances, street art initiatives, and so forth. Exchange of good practices, so study visit, field visit, exchange events, networking activities, and so forth. Then promotion and dissemination activities, so for example, activism, information campaigns, publication of manuals, audiovisual productions. Then we have for example, training and capacity building activities. So, for example, again, these are just examples, of course. So, for example, again, training and capacity building, meaning thematic seminars, workshops, conferences, training courses, thematic visit, webinars, and so forth. Then we have initiatives with university and research and specialization centers. So, for example, debates, collaborative projects exploring, again, the future of communities. And then, of course, activities that increase the involvement of citizens and civil society organizations with the local, regional, and national governments, with the specific focus on, again, shaping policies. And you can see here also the link to the main key theme of the call, shaping policies that can support sustainable, inclusive, and resilient communities. Then in the next slide, I will just quickly give you an overview of the activities that are not eligible. In fact, please make sure that one of your activities do not fall under this list. So, for example, action supporting political parties, action consisting mainly, so only on research or study. So please be mindful of these. For example, of course, I mean, this is also wouldn't be in line in general with the CERT program and with our values, but of course, action which discriminate are obviously not eligible. Action intended to raise funds or promote visibility of the applicant or its partners are not eligible. Action concerned only or mainly with individual sponsorship are not eligible. Or, for example, that consists exclusively or primarily in capital expenditure. So, for example, if the majority of the funding would be used to build an infrastructure, I don't know, but this is not possible. So be mindful of the kind of activities you decide to have in your proposal. Then in the next slide, we have an overview of the target group and meaning that in your actions, you can target one or more of these target groups, meaning again, citizens and the local communities, young people, marginalized groups and local authorities. So please, again, you are free to choose one or more of these target groups. And in the next slide, we have now the part related to the budget. In fact, as Alice was saying, we will cover 16 projects with 10,000 euros each, covering though 100% of the total project budget. Meaning, again, we will not ask for co-funding. But on this, I will pass the mic to my colleagues, Julia and Nadia, who will give you a more detailed understanding on some specific aspects of the budget. Thank you so much. Please, Julia.
Thank you, Valeria. Hi, everybody. I start with the eligible criteria for the of the grant. Remember you that if Alice, can you move to the next slide? Okay. So this year is different from the other ones. The form of the budget is a mixed budget based. That means that the reimbursement will be on the basis of actual eligible cost plus a percentage for the personal costs that my colleague Julia will explain you in a few minutes. I will just sum up the eligible criteria. So the cost needs to be incurred during the lifetime of the project. So from the submitted proposal and the end of the 20th of October 2025. Then they needs to be indicated in the estimated overall budget of the proposal submitted by each of you. They needs to be necessary for the implementation of the project. They are identifiable and verifiable. In particular, they needs to be, you need to attach the recording, the accounting records for each expense. But we will go more deeply through these accountancy details further on. And then these costs need to comply with the requirements of the applicable tax and social legislation of each of your country. And then they are real costs, reasonable and justified. And this is very important. All these costs should not be covered through other EU programs. So yeah, be sure that you're not incurring in co-funding coverage of the cost submitted in the OG grant.
As Nadia was mentioning, for this year, we collected some feedbacks also from those of you and the other members of ALDA that participate to the previous years, and we try to manage and to simplify a bit the procedure for the financial management and reporting. So for this year, we advocate and we were able to decide that the personal cost will be considered as a flat rate contributions. So here we have the eligible criteria, and then I will explain a bit about the percentage. So all the criteria anyway, even if it is on a percentage base, needs to be declared under the personal budget line in the application phase. So if you're not foreseeing the personal cost at the application phase, it will not be possible for you to report at the end after you finish the project. All the costs considered in this budget line must not cover other kind of cost. So within this percentage, you cannot consider other actual costs, but need to be considered only the personal cost. Then, of course, they need to fail and to follow all the general eligibility conditions. And also your usual accounting practices need to be applied, even if it is a percentage cost for this case, still you need to apply your usual accounting practices. So out of the total grant, the staff cost can be considered up to a maximum of 30% of the grant, which means 3,000 euros. Then you can also decide that you don't need the staff cost because you're covering already the staff cost with other grants, so you can put 0 on the personal cost and consider all the total amount as actual cost, as Nadia explained to you before, or you can consider instead of 30, 10 or 20%. Please be aware that we will allow this percentage and not like the percentage in between, or like, I don't know, 25.5%. We just need to follow this percentage. So at the end, at the reporting phase, it means that the personal cost will be considered as percentage of the total budget, similar to the flat rate of the management of Erasmus programs. If you know a bit, some of you maybe know about this. So we are not asking you supporting documents for the staff cost at like our phase of reporting, but still you will need to have a declaration signed by your legal representative that say that you're covering this cost, and you have the requested documents available in case of audit by the commissions, because of course we cannot ensure like 100% the commission is not asking us next year during our like reporting phase that the documents about this. So if they want to double check this, you need to have all the documentation for the staff cost as well. And in general, all the other costs, so since they're like actual real cost, needs to be reported with all the required documentation, like usual documentation, like contracts, invoices, and proof of payments. And now,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you, Giulia. Thank you. So I will go back now to the evaluation aspect. Again, this is very connected to our presentation so far. And again, the goal now is to really try to better explain to you and guide you in the writing of your proposals. So first of all, in the next slide, thank you, Alice. We will evaluate the relevance of the action. Also, as you can see, as you can read in the call for proposal, which again we advise to read very thoroughly and very carefully, the evaluation will be done by a selection committee, meaning that there will be this committee that is internal to ALDA that will be evaluate each proposal. So that each proposal is evaluated at least 3 times, so that again we can have a really thorough, let's say, and evaluation. So first of all, again, we will evaluate the relevance of the actions, meaning that if the project proposal is relevant to the objectives and to the key priorities, if the organization, the applicant organization is experienced on these kind of activities, and please make sure to, in case you have experience on these kind of activities, to mention also the years of experience you have, because that will help us in the evaluation process, as you can see, since the points will be given on that. No, wait, Alice, sorry. And then the target group, of course, needs to be clearly identified, and also again identified and show how this activity can meet their needs. Then in the next slides, thank you. Here you can see the part of the proposal of the Google form in which you will have to again write down your proposal. You can find this type of elements. So of course you will be asked to choose one of ALDA thematic hubs that you saw before. If you have questions related to the thematic hubs, please do not hesitate to contact us. But it's important that for these you select you reference one of the hubs that will be the reference for your proposal. Please really take your time to check the priorities and the pages of ALDA website in order to really connect your action with that. And then, as you can see at the end in the thematic focus ALDA hubs, of course, we also understand that we have an holistic approach, meaning that your action can tackle more than one theme. In this case, we will ask you to still choose one thematic hubs of reference, but you can write then here in this thematic focus ALDA hubs if your action is connected to also other thematic priorities. So this is if your action is connected, please write it down here, but we kindly ask you to then choose one key hub. And of course, then in the thematic focus, we will be also asked to mention how your action can strengthen citizens' engagement. Then thank you. We will evaluate the quality of the project design and implementation, meaning again that the objectives are identified and realistic, that the methodology is clear, that the activities can satisfy the principle of economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, that the activities are designed in an accessible and inclusive way, that the project incorporates use of digital tools, and that the project is designed with an eco-friendly mindset, meaning that in an eco-friendly way, and that it can be truly sustainable also from the environmental point of view. And please, something that to keep in mind here, you can see the counterpart of this in the application form. Be very clear, because the committee will evaluate you only based on what you write. Meaning that if you are an organization and we have already worked together with ALDA, because of course you are our members and we know something about you, we cannot evaluate that. The committee can only evaluate what is clearly written. So please take your time to be really thorough about this. And take note of these guiding questions that you have in the evaluation form. So of course, in the description of the initiatives, of the planning initiatives, of the target group, also meaning, how many direct beneficiaries are you expecting? How many indirect beneficiaries are you expecting? And also something relevant to keep in mind, as you saw, we had specific points if your action is again inclusive, innovative, and ecological and sustainable. Of course, these points here will depend on how clear you are, meaning that if you only write, yes, our action will be inclusive and sustainable, this will be not a very big, this will not give you very high points, because it's important that you write also how your action will be, if your action will be sustainable and inclusive, please write also how. So in that case, you will be evaluated with higher points, let's say. Then, of course, we will evaluate the impact. So again, it will be interesting for us to see how to integrate the project results in your regular work of the organization. Then, of course, we will evaluate how it can impact, how it can have an impact on the participants. Also, we will ask how you plan to evaluate the implementation of your project. And of course, how you plan to communicate the result of your project. In the next slide. Yes, here again, you see the counterpart on the Google form. So again, we will ask you again the outreach and the impact. So again, to understand how you will evaluate your project, how you will communicate it, if you have a communication strategy, how you plan, which kind of communication channels you plan to use, and so forth. But also, and this is very important, we will ask you if and what synergy, what kind of synergies you wish to create with other stakeholders. Meaning that, and again, can be either at local or national or international level, let's say. But if you plan to involve other stakeholders, please mention it and describe what kind of synergies you have with them. For example, if you have a long-term, collaboration with them, or if you plan to map the stakeholders on the territory. So just please mention it here how you wish to involve other relevant stakeholders. Then also very important is, again, as you can see this year, it's very connected to the hubs. So again, I'm sorry to repeat it, but it's very important. And you will be evaluated for this, how connected you are with ALDA thematic hubs. So please take your time to check our website, check the thematic hubs, check really the priorities. You can write to our help desk if you have any questions, and we will get in touch also with the thematic hub coordinator. But this is very important because the goal is really to connect ALDA members with our thematic hubs as much as possible. So if you would like also to, in this case, host a hub or co-host or co-organize, a hub event, please let us know. Of course, if you let us know, again, here, like the points I was mentioning before, let us know how also you would like to be part of the co-organization or the hosting of a hub event. Also meaning which kind of priorities you would like to match. So this is important, again, here as well, to mention this aspect. Then we will give additional points in case, again, the project demonstrates exceptional strategic merit, for example, as in innovation, coherence with ALDA strategy and hubs and outreach. If, again, the aspect of cooperation with local stakeholders is particularly relevant and so relevant that, it deserves, let's say, additional points and additional recognition. And of course, again, the applicant that agrees to adopt an internal policy by the end of the project that foresees gender equality and anti-discrimination guidelines. Please mention in case you already have one. But this aspect is particularly relevant for us as well. Then I think we are okay, so please be inspired, meaning that this you can find with the QR code last year's sub-grantees if you want to see what they did, the good practices they implemented. And lastly, I think we are at the Q&A part. So please, I'm happy because also we finished a bit earlier than we thought. So you have a lot of time for question and answers. I will start with some questions that came to our email address, help desk, and also to read some of the questions that I see in the chat. So first of all, we were asked if, for example, if you are a last year subgrant or if you have been the beneficiary of, I don't know what's happening with this, but if you can participate, if you already are a beneficiary of ALDA's regranting last year or in the past year, and the answer is yes, you can participate this year as well. Then we were asked also if you can do a follow-up of a project, both in the case that you were a participant last year or in general. And our answer would be yes, in the sense that it's interesting to see that the activity you are proposing is eradicated in the territory. But of course, we always invite you, this in general, to be mindful of the new key elements of the proposal. So yes, you can again continue an activity that you are already successfully implementing on the territory, but it is very important that you show that it's very in line with the priorities of this year. Also, this is connected a bit to another questions we received, and it's like, can we organize an activity in the context of a bigger event? Meaning that, for example, every year you have a huge festival and you would like to organize this regranting activity, this regranted activity in the context of that festival. So again, the answer is yes, you can. Also, it can be interesting to connect it with the bigger events, but please be very mindful that this still has to be an activity related to this call for proposal, meaning that you have to see in the program, if you organize this activity, that this activity is connected to these key priorities, to this kind of call for proposal, and it's not just a way to fund the bigger activities in another way, you know. So you can do it. It can also be very interesting, but please be mindful of this, and also, of course, of double funding, especially if the other activity is also funded by European funds. Then let me see a bit. I see, of course, Julia and Nadia, if you want to answer, I saw there were some questions related to the budget, maybe. Okay, let me see.
So I see a question regarding CERV program. So how does impact since the project is part of CRV, how does that impact other funding from CRV? Actually, as this is a regranting scheme, we think that you should not worry about it, because actually, yes, CRV has a limited annual budget per organization, but in this case, the budget is the one is considered ALDA budget on CRV program. So don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you, Nadia. So I was asked, and I don't know if I understand correctly this question, if you are membership based, can you collaborate with your members? Yes, you can. I mean, you can collaborate with whoever you want. The important thing is that you are the organization responsible for the implementation of this action, meaning that, of course, we celebrate, let's say, and we evaluate very positively. As you saw, if you engage stakeholders, if you are membership based, if you engage your members, absolutely. But always remember, but I mean, we would see that from the budget, you have to be the one implementing the action, meaning you cannot make a subcontract for the implementation of the whole action to another organization. But of course, you can absolutely work with your members. Okay, I see there are some questions related to membership, but I saw that Erika very kindly already answered. Okay. Yes, sorry, I'm just reading. So I see some questions related to the target audience. So the target groups, let's say, are the ones that you saw. So, I mean, those are the target groups, let's say, that were foreseen by us, also connected to our strategy. But of course, I mean, for example, if you work with elderly people, I mean, depends on what kind of activities you do with them. You can consider them, for example, as citizens, you know, as part of the target group of citizens. And children, I mean, you can work with young people. Sorry, I'm just trying to see because there are a lot of questions. Okay, so wait, Erika, okay, you're answered here. So I see your question related, I see a question related to the Dutch overseas countries. And I know you are also sent an email to the regranting to that, but we need to check this with our internally and with the Commission if this is possible, because it's a peculiar situation and we want to give you a correct answer, let's say. But I mean, because of course it's part of the Netherlands, so but we need to check. I don't want to give you an answer on this now specific because it's for us also. We want to give you a correct answer, but we will get in touch with you via email because we know that you sent the email about that as well. Is there a minimum number or an average number of beneficiaries that projects are expected to reach? No, there is not a minimum or maximum number, I would say. Of course, we will evaluate all the projects in its let's say in its wholeness, meaning that of course as we said, it has to be efficient, it has to be doable. So of course if you plan to engage a very, very little number of beneficiaries, we will imagine that maybe how you plan to do it, or if it's really efficient to organize this activity for a very for a very low number of beneficiaries. But for example, we don't have a maximum and a minimum, so if we understand that if you are, for example, a smaller organization, you might reach or small fewer, or if you are based in a smaller territory, you might reach fewer beneficiaries, but we don't have a fixed number. So this will just be part of the evaluation alongside the other criteria. Wait, shall we add that? Okay, wait 1 second. Sorry, because I read a couple of questions. If you add support letters, so I would say to add the support letters to the, if you are meaning to add support letters to the project proposal, I don't think there is the actual space for that, because it's a Google form and you can only upload the budget and the declaration of honor. So I would say no, not in the form, but if you have them, I think you can just write at the beginning, for example, in the description of your actions, we have the support letters of these, or actually no, not in the description of the action, but in the stakeholders. Because I imagine if you have support letters, these are stakeholders you usually involve or you're planning to involve. So in the stakeholder part of the form, you can add, we can provide support letters from these organizations. And then in case we will ask them to you. But I suggest to do this and not, because there is no place in the form to upload other documents but those. Claudia from Biosfera, is compulsory to participate with a partnership network? What do you mean by that? Sorry, because you can participate as Biosfera. Like I see you're from Biosfera, you can participate as your organization. No, it's not. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can explain a bit more your question, please, because I'm not sure I understand. Then Alice Bruni. Okay, this is the same letter of support. If you have them and you just write them in that part of the stakeholder engagement. Yes, so I see that Eric already answered, but yes, we have a call every year, a call for proposal every year. Yes, I don't know if I did not answer some comments. In case, please let me know. And I don't know if there are other questions or if it's clear. Okay. So I see there is a question related to the budget, and I will pass it to Giulia or Nadia.
Well, the maximum budget accepted is one of 10,000, but of course, it's preferable, instead of having an underspending, it is preferable to apply with a budget proposal that is very close to the real activities and the cost of the real activities that you think you will implement.
So it's like if you already know that you're going to spend like 8,000 euros, it's better for us, for all of us, to also in terms of the reporting and financial management in general, to have the budget in the application for 8,000 euros. But yeah, the maximum is 10,000 euros, so then you can decide how to manage it.
Thank you. So, okay, I see Claudia from Biosfera that you specified this. No, we do not expect you to participate as a partnership, a network of partnerships. So don't worry about this. Of course, as you saw, there is one part of the evaluation process and one part of the criteria that will be about stakeholder engagement, meaning that, of course, in that aspect of the evaluation process, if you show you have stakeholders on the ground, or not necessarily on the ground, that you involve regularly and that you plan to involve, then good, in that aspect you will be evaluated more. But it's not the key. I mean, it's not, the evaluation process is made by many, let's say, points and many criteria. So this is one of them, which is relevant, but we do not expect, again, you to have a partnership. We expect you to participate, as in your case, Biosfera. And then if you have, of course, a strong network on the ground, better. But I hope this kind of answered your question.
There is something about the budget, if I can jump in.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so Valeria asked if you have co-financing, is it worth mentioning it? Yes, you can mention it. It will, for example, if you have your activities as part of a bigger event or part of a bigger, I don't know, organizational organized activities, but you will not be asked to report it. And also, yes, you will not be asked to report it. And yeah, maybe you can mention in some place in the application or at the end when you do the reporting during the reporting phase, and that's it.
Thank you very much, Julia. So I see there is a question. If the grant is open to sub-Saharan African countries, unfortunately not. This is only for organizations based in the EU. Although, but I don't want to say this, I'm not sure, Julia, maybe you know, we have a project called WIDE that foresees a sub-granting scheme for organization based in African countries. But I'm not sure if it's still open, so I don't want to, just FYI. So we have another project, but in this specific case, no, I'm sorry, just for EU-based country, because it's a SERV program. But thank you for your interest.
Yes, we have these wide projects that have the regranting in the African continent. They do various rounds of regranting. I'm not 100% sure if we're not 100% sure if there is still one round to be opened, but you may found the indications, the contact in the ALDA website, so you may send an email and our colleagues that are in charge of this project can support and tell you more about this.
Yes. Okay. So I see there is a question for Erica, maybe, but I don't know if you have other questions, or maybe we can already share. Alice, please, in the next slide. Here you can see the help desk, let's say, regranting at aldaeurope.eu. If you have other questions, of course, please don't not hesitate to write to us there. Of course, and I mean, any kind of question, and we will publish also frequently asked questions so that you can be all very updated on the process. I don't know if there are other questions. Again, just to remind you, we have recorded today this Q&A session, so we will publish it also on our website. So again, you can see it. We can publish also the slides, as some of you were asking before. But of course, we always invite you to check very thoroughly the text of the call for proposal, because you will have a lot of answers from there. Okay, I don't know if we have other specific questions. Otherwise, we can also, thank you. We can also, let's say, close today's session. Thank you again for participating. I'm happy to see so many of you. So it's good, and we are always available, of course, if you have any question. Sometimes we might need to check also internally some aspects, so please be patient. But of course, we are very happy to answer all your questions. And you're welcome, and have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you very much.